Hello, Mike Charles. It's very nice to finally meet you after being
Likewise.
for a while, and and it's great to have you on the Traklife platform. I know you've done a bunch of stuff with Traklife, but it's great to finally have you for an interview.
Appreciate you for having me.
So one of my favorite things about hip hop is that the rapper's location really influences the sound of the music. So you're from Houston, Texas, right? I'm
Right.
wondering how that, like your location, affected and shaped your sound, and which Texas-based artists you took inspiration from.
Um, the unique thing about Houston that I think is different from a lot of other places is we have our own unique sound, it's kind of like if like our stars there like larger than life. We grew up and those guys were like our Jay-Z's, our Biggie's, our Nas. So I was influenced by a lot of Texas artists. I'm influenced by anything Houston, but most definitely UGK, Scarface and the Ghetto Boys, Slim Thug, um, Zero, Trey the Truth, Paul Wall, just all of the dope guys who did their thing, but then took it on a mainstream level.
Very cool. So you like listen to a lot of more like Houston based rather than like all over Texas? Because I know it's a huge state. So is it kind of like in Houston there's like this huge culture, or is the culture kind of all over Texas?
Um, Houston is very unique. Like it's I would say a lot of Texas music got their influence from Houston, like
Yeah.
so yeah, to answer your question, I listen to more Houston based. But there's dope. There's a lot of dope artists in Dallas. A lot of dope artists in San Antonio. But me personally, yeah, I was more influenced on Houston based music.
Yeah, very cool. So originally from Houston, and you recently moved over to the West Coast. So what made you
Yeah.
decide to move over to LA?
Um, just change the scenery, more opportunity. I feel like a lot of artists in Texas, like, cause you say how Texas is so big, a lot of artists feel like they never have to leave to expand, and which they don't. My vision of making music, I never just wanted to be local. I always feel like my message in music was international. So I never I was never comfortable with just staying in Texas and being able just to tour around Texas and make my money that way or make a name that way. I always wanted my message in music to be global. That's
Hmm.
even when I started, any of my friends that I started with, they could tell you like that was always my goal,
Nice. Yeah.
so
So do you feel
yeah.
like LA has given you a lot more opportunities?
Most definitely, because here you meet a lot of people from everywhere, all over the world, and I just feel like, LA, New York, those are markets that if you tap into that market and you make it there, you pretty much make it anywhere,
Yeah,
you know.
for sure.
Yeah.
So do you think that living in LA has shaped your sound at all? Like, do you think it's changed your sound in any way, or?
Uh, I don't think it's changed my sound because well, definitely not in a bad way. I don't think it's changed my sound because I was already an artist before I came to LA. I feel like I already knew who I was as an
Mhm.
artist. I would say it definitely enhanced it because I got more experiences. And the more experiences you get, the more things you can write about. Obviously, living in LA, it's a different culture. So I see a lot of different things that I probably didn't grow up seeing. And some of those things, I guess you could say, influence you as well. So I would definitely say it enhanced it. I wouldn't say it necessarily changed it. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can definitely hear that in your music. Like the quality is just, it's up there with the top dogs. Like your newer music
appreciate
is
that.
just, it's so good. Um, so what makes you one of my favorite emerging rappers right now is like your lyrical depth, and you seem to cover like a very wide variety of topics within your music. I'm kind of curious, like where the inspiration comes from, like when you're coming up with your lyrics.
Um, really and truly, I just like classic music. Like when I'm riding around in the car, I listen to a lot of classic music. I feel like when something is classic and when something is real and genuine, it's gonna last. It's gonna last forever. You know what I mean? That's even dating
Hmm.
back to the Motown records, and those records. They had a lot of meaning and depth into them. And I feel like when you make music like that, it can never get dated. I feel like I have songs that I made in 2010 that if I wanted to release them today, they could still go.
Hmm.
Clearly, probably the recording quality is not there, because technology changes and whatnot. But I feel like just like the message behind the music. Like if there's always depth in it, if you're always saying something, you can never be outdated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like another thing I really like about your music is like you can really hear like the old school influences, and you're really like the influence that you're really taking from them is like that depth and that, you know, the intricacy, because like, you know, rap nowadays, you know, some of it is like, you know, pretty shallow, but like with you stick with the depth, and you take like all the best elements and bring it to modern day, and like I love that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So tell me like a
Music
little.
today is
Oh,
very microwavable. Like it's disposable. You know, you can pop it in the microwave, eat it, and it's done. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It has no depth to it. So yeah.
Yeah, that like your music is like ageless. Like I could see myself like, I mean, I listen to your music all the time, and like I haven't gotten sick of any of the songs yet. Like a
Yeah.
lot, like you said, a lot of the music these days are just kind of disposable. Like they make a song that's going to be a hit and people are going to love for like a couple weeks, but then you know,
Right.
people are going to be sick of it in a couple weeks, and then it's not going to matter anymore. So it's, you know, you're making music that matters.
Most definitely.
So like what's your process like when you're starting a song? Do you start with the beat, the lyrics?
Um, Really, I definitely start with the beat because I feel like the beat is what takes me to where I need to go. I remember when I first started making music, I started with the lyrics. But I feel like when you start with the lyrics, you can't really, because I feel like with hip hop versus any other genre of music, it's like the way that you say something. It's the flow. You know what I mean? So the music definitely has to flow. Like the way that you say certain things has to flow. I remember I was watching an interview with Kanye West, and he was basically talking about that. He was like, with hip hop, it has things have to be said with like conviction, and people have to really believe and feel what you're saying versus any other like genre of music. So with me personally, like when I hear a beat, I just listen to where the music takes me. And some beats aren't like as good as other beats, but it's kind of like what you can work with. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So, do you work with like a variety? I know you told me you work with like one producer for this upcoming project, but in the
Right.
past, like, have you worked with a variety of producers? Do you kind of stick with like a certain, you know, few people?
Yeah, I work with a few producers. I'm kind of weary with working with producers online, you know, with this new YouTube era, because you'll have like 100 other dudes rapping on the same beats that you
Yeah.
have. So I do try to keep it, you know, close niche. Like I work with a producer from LA. His name is Donovan, formerly known by Sonny C. Shout out to him. He's probably gonna watch this. But he's done like the majority of my most recent music since I've kind of came to LA. But now I'm also transitioning into working with other people too, just to expand my sound, you know, get more live instrumentation. And so that's kind of like more of the sound that I'm going for now. But I'm always willing to work with producers. I get producers DMing me all the time, but the thing is like the beats just all sound the same. And
Yeah.
I just want something that's different, that's just gonna take me to another path. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I've definitely noticed like you don't stick with any basic beats that, you know, everyone's
Yeah,
heard. I especially like love the beat on your song Alibi. Like that gives me such like ASAP Rocky vibes, but like, you know, not too similar to him where it's like, oh, that's ASAP Rocky. Like it's super
for
dope.
sure. Sure.
So you've opened for some pretty big names I was reading. Tell us a little about that.
Definitely. Um, well, yeah, I mean, like I say, being Texas based, these guys are larger than life. I've opened up for Slim Thug, Zero, Lil Flip, Trey the Truth, um, Big Mo. I actually opened up for Big Mo on his very last show before he passed away. Um, let me see who else, and obviously the biggest being Drake.
Yeah.
And that was
Tell me
just
about
a
that.
opportunity. Yeah, that was just like that's just an opportunity that was given to me. Like I always tell people, like you never know who's watching. You know what I mean? So even
Mhm.
when you just out grounding in the field doing your thing and you thinking nobody's hearing you or seeing you, you never know who's watching. And that's an opportunity that I just got from a friend who knew a friend who knew a friend and was like, yo, you think you'll be dope for this show? And it was definitely an experience for sure.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that
Yeah.
that sounds incredible. Are you planning on
Yeah.
getting back into live performances after COVID?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
I assume so. I just asked.
Whenever that is, we don't know when that is
Yeah.
right now,
No one really
but
knows too sure, but I mean, the end of the year is looking a little hopeful, so let's cross our fingers.
yeah,
So I was
yeah,
lucky enough to get a sneak preview of your upcoming project, and I'm really digging
yeah.
it. So tell us a little more about that, like when it's going to be released and all of that.
So my new project, Beginner's Luck, I'm releasing it sometime at the end of March. I don't have a set date yet, just trying to figure out a few little things here and there. But I will be dropping the first single, Homage, March 11th, which is also my birthday. So I'm excited about that. The project is something that I would say this. I started this project before the pandemic, but the songs that you heard that actually made the project, all of those songs were recorded during the pandemic. That just lets you know I was just in a different mind frame. So
Hmm.
those songs that I did before they didn't make the cut. You know what I mean? But I don't know. They might come out on a future project, or I might release them as singles or something like that. But this project is called Beginner's Luck. It's kind of like a story all the way through. My mom
Hmm.
is narrating it, as you heard. I got some dope visuals coming forward. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Cool. Yeah, you always seem to have the dope visuals to like match a lot of your tracks, so I'm definitely excited to
Yeah,
see what extra stuff you have coming out with that.
most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's all the questions I had for you, but if there was anything else like you wanted to let the audience know, yeah, just go ahead.
Beginner's Luck coming soon. If you're looking for good quality music with substance, um, make sure you check out the project when it comes out. Like I said, the new single Homage drops March 11th. Be available on all streaming platforms. The video will follow a few days after, give or take, And yeah, just look out the rest of the year. I'm just applying pressure. We'll be dropping nonstop. So most
Awesome. Yeah,
definitely,
everyone keep an eye out for Michael Charles. He's
most
already on the
definitely.
rise, but he's going to blow up, so you're not going to want to miss out on
I
it.
appreciate that.
Well, thank you for talking to me and being on the Traklife platform. It was great getting to know more about like your process and everything, and it was great meeting you.
I appreciate you for having me. Thanks for meeting you. And I want to say thank you for supporting. You've been supporting like crazy. So I really appreciate that.
For sure.